It's the MyMichelleLive Podcast.
My Michelle Live. My Michelle Live. Sports timeout. The fans, the field, the faith,
It's time
the
for
fun. Here's Michelle.
Oh, sports. Sports.
Come on, get up to bat, my friends. Yeah, thank you for joining us for Sports Time Out as we go into the weekend. You can tell I'm going to a baseball game. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to talk a little bit about baseball and a funny thing that you might not know about this corner of the U.S., but that's coming up. But let me introduce you to the guys. We have Brent R. Baker. We have Dell Didley. We
Hey,
have
good to see you.
Garrick Pang. Yeah, guys, it's good to see you too. Little known fact, if you're a baseball fan and you live in Canada, you don't have a lot of options. So when, I don't know, you live close to the border like I do, and you do have options, and your team happens to host someone like, I don't know, the Blue Jays, it looks like you're in the minority and you're at a Blue Jays home game. And that's kind of what I'm going to be expecting tonight. But it is all in good fun. But I'm telling you, what's really weird, those Blue Jay fans do not act like Canadians. Those Canadians, you go up there, they're really nice. They come down here, man. It's
Time
kind
to
of
cut
brutal.
loose.
Yeah, it's
Hey,
kind of brutal.
That's like going to a Tampa game, and when the Yankees are in town, and there's more Yankee fans there because obviously they spring train there. So it's
Oh,
always
of
a big.
course.
I've been to a couple of the games there in Tampa. It's a huge Yankees turnout.
Isn't that true of every Tampa game, though? It seems like everybody who lives there is from somewhere else.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's absolutely true. And I did want to give some kudos out. We missed last week because of the 4th of July and such, but there were some finals, and the Avalanche overtook the Lightning, which I think some people were just, Lightning became in hockey, people were tired of them. We'll just say it that way. People were just tired of seeing them win all the time. It reminds me of an NFL team from somewhere near Boston, but we won't mention them yet. I want to say congratulations to some team in New York who beat my Seattle Seawolves in the National Rugby Championship for the Shield. So congratulations. And then if you follow it all, USFL, the Stallions came up on top. Congratulations.
Hey, I'll make
to
one quick
those
note
folks.
about the USFL. We had one of the heroes of that game, Alex McGoo, the quarterback for Birmingham, that came in off the bench, was on the Seahawks practice squad for several years here. Never quite could crack the lineup, even as backup. But cool to see him he had a really bad moment through a late interception, and then through what ended up being the game-winning touchdown later. So that was kind of cool for us Seattleites.
And I've always loved having football when it's not football season. I'm just saying, and I really miss the XFL. And as we've talked about before, the XFL will be making an appearance. What is it, Del, next year?
Yes.
They'll
Yes,
be returning. If with the USFL and the XFL, if you don't have a team in or your city or around you nearby, it's your radar, don't you think, Del?
Yeah, I do. And maybe they'll put one up in Cleveland because they really need a professional football team up in Cleveland because they don't have one up there.
My understanding is they're doing all the games are going to be played in the cities, but everybody's going to be based out of Dallas, I think. Did you hear that?
Yes.
What? Wow. How does that work?
I don't know. I work for a company in Charlotte and I'm based out of my house. Maybe that's how they do it. I don't know.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I think it's going to save them money on travel and things, I guess. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay, we'll see how that plays out. That'll be cool. As long as we're talking football, I need some help with, because the Baker Mayfield story is like watching a freaking soap opera of the sport world. And I am utterly
Let me jump in on that because I've been following it some, and I was just saying just a little bit ago, I'm looking forward to this season to cover the Bengals and go to Cleveland for the Monday night game. I don't know if they'll keep it, but the Browns, if there's ever a reason to boycott a team, right? The Browns ownership this is what they've done. They traded 3 first-round draft picks. They spent $230 million for a quarterback who's probably not going to play. They have to pay Baker Mayfield $588,000 the first week, and who's their starting quarterback? Yeah, Jacoby Brissett's going to be their starter, but fans should just say, go back to Baltimore. Please move it. Oh, please get out of town again at midnight and not even show up for any game. The Browns ownership and brass have just, I don't know what they're doing, but they're not focusing on any business. They're just they're playing jacks and just rolling the dice.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So where is Mayfield going to end up?
He's in Carolina. He will play against them on September 11th.
So it's set in stone. It's set in stone finally, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
He
is. Yeah. And interestingly,
his opening game will be against Cleveland.
Okay, there you go.
Just like Russell Wilson coming back to Seattle.
How do we make that comparison?
I think the comparison is just that both of them will have something to prove in that game.
Exactly. And that's going to be the first game of the season for the Seattle Seahawks against the Broncos. And that'll be an interesting one indeed, because how is the new superstar mega mansion Russell Wilson going to play out? And are the fans going to be as welcoming as, well, we've talked about in the past? So we'll see. It is interesting. Right.
And just hoping that he's still so accustomed to throwing to blue shirts that he may just have 3 or 4 interceptions.
That's cute.
I think we should put Tyler Lockett in on defense. Yeah. And so that as he sees him running, there's Tyler.
Because he can't resist it. Won't be able to resist it. I totally love that idea. I really like it. And that's one reason, guys, I prefer to a degree. I love football. It's my jam, and I love the NFL, but I just love college ball because though it has gotten more businessy, you have a little bit more loyalty. It's not about, okay, where do I go to make the most money? Because I think we're a little weary of that.
Yeah, it is about money. Obviously, you have every conference is struggling to combat the SEC. So you have the Big Ten, formerly the Big Ten, now it's the Big 27, I think is what it is, because you have UCLA moving and USC going to be moving to the Big Ten.
Now that's a huge story.
I don't like that,
And that's all for money. It's all for playing the big games with big teams and making the most cash. And man, so the pack this and the 10 of that makes no sense or difference anymore. And I'm so disappointed. Anyone else want to weigh in on that?
It's disappointing, but while this move, I don't think anyone saw coming exactly when it happened. Even though I was sick to my stomach, it didn't surprise me in the least bit, especially after the past decade plus of complete management of the Pac-12 and their media properties. Unfortunately, the money is part of the game here, and the Pac-12 did not take advantage of the opportunities that they had for the last decade. When you have your league network and can't even get people watching it because you can't get the distribution agreement worked out, that's a leadership issue. And some of it came from the commissioners. A lot of it came from the presidents that tolerated him, Larry Scott, for so long. I feel bad I can't say the current commissioner's last name now, the situation that he jumped into. There might have been some things over the last year he could have done, but he walked into a disaster. And ultimately, the schools do have to put their conference allegiances aside and look out for themselves, because it becomes a matter of survival for their athletic departments. And the cold fact here is that USC and UCLA basically are going to double the amount of media rights money that they're going to get. It sucks. That is going to basically destroy the Pac-12. Even if it still exists, it will never be what it was. Even though it's been eroded, but it destroys the tradition of the Rose Bowl. There's just a lot of collateral damage here that's really unfortunate, and also a sign of the times.
Brent, you and I talked about this last week in terms of part of the collateral damage being the other sports, because football is not really the tail that wags the dog. They're the dog that wags the dog.
Okay.
Because that's where all the money into the athletic departments come from. But I just feel badly for some of these lesser sports where they're going to have to travel just these huge distances. Yeah. It used to be all West Coast for them. Of course, now they're going to be having to fly to Chicago and Michigan and wherever it is that the other teams are.
They're not going to be used to that.
Expensive. And as we've talked about this, the impact of making money, of course, it's important for the college to survive, but yet tuition keeps going up. And I know they're separate entities, but they're still the school. You would think that if they're making that much money, why can't that be reflected in a blessing for the school? But it isn't. It is disappointing all the way around. Something else I wanted to get to, and in the soccer realm, guys, Alex Morgan really was beefing it up as she scored a couple of times to help the U.S. women's national team qualify for the World Cup. And speaking of World Cup in Qatar, did you guys hear that there will be no alcohol served? So for those who plan on going to the World Cup and love a little beer with your game, no alcohol. Boom. You can probably find no cheeseburgers with bacon. And I just want to tell you, travel to the Muslim world, that stinks. I was going through bacon withdrawals, but that's just me. I can live without the beer, the bacon, not so much. What do you guys think about it? You can do it.
You cut out a little bit, Michelle, but I'll just jump in because of the fact that I'm a soccer player and some of my friends are planning to go to Qatar for the World Cup. And I think it's more that rather than having beer with at your games, it's more like you're having a game with your beer. And so, so it's going to be quite an adjustment. But obviously, all joking aside, people are there for the soccer, and I think it'll put a crimp in some of the people's style, but they'll get over it.
Considering some of the things that we're seeing happen going on in terms of violence and stuff at games and everywhere else, I'm not saying endorsing a full ban. But at the same time, there are some positives to this. The way that alcohol often fuels violence apparently won't be as much of a factor there. So we'll find out how it looks in the long run. But that for a lot of people,
okay, let's use that. Yes, let's use that as a jumping board to some other issues in the sports realm of people behaving badly and making 9 Angel players and coaches suspended for brawling. Did you guys see that? And I know, guys, we had, as Mariner fans, of some of us, there was a crazy brawl that took place recently. We're seeing, to me, that's entertainment in the sports realm. You expect it in a hockey match, and it's even more entertaining when it's a baseball game. Not always expected, but that was a real thing that happened. Did any of you catch those?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was, as much as you hate to see it, it was wonderfully entertaining and exciting. I just really, it was fun to watch. I can't say it any other way. Forgive me.
How many sports though are actually? I know there's here, but how many sports is it actually permitted for the benches to empty and everybody just to go at it?
Well, what do you mean when you say permitted? Well, I guess they don't get penalized as far as the teams are concerned.
But there are sports where that's coming off the benches. You're automatically ejected on the spot. And if all of a sudden you had both teams just thrown out. Yeah. One of the things about this brawl that I thought was different was not the brawl itself, but the setup for it. When you had some tension between the Mariners and Angels from the night before, and then the morning of the game, the Angels manager switched out his starting pitcher for an opener. So somebody was only expected to go an inning or two. And that guy proceeds to throw behind the Mariners' best rookie player, Julio Rodriguez, and then nails Jesse Winker in the hip the following inning and gets ejected. I don't think that happens if they run their regular starter out there, because they actually gained something pitching wise when their player got ejected. So it was one of the more like transparent setup for a beanball war. And so I was glad to see the Angels manager suspended for the length of time that he was. I didn't think that the player suspensions were very equitable, but it was good to see the Angels, their manager, their pitching coach, even their translator getting suspended and held accountable for what happened.
How long did they get in terms of suspension? I didn't hear specifically.
It varied. I think the longest one was 10 games. Del, do you remember?
It was 10 games, yeah. And I think a great solution to this would be when a player's ejected, because money really is nothing to these guys. Yeah. They ought to pay every person's ticket who's attended that game. In the Reds case, it would be $7 because nobody's going to the
So if you want to brawl, you go to the
go
Redskins.
to Cincinnati. But if you're just for fighting, if there's 33,000 people there, you have to pay everybody's ticket. But the commissioners yet to call me to ask me my opinion, but that would stop that stuff.
On Friday nights for
Just
the
surprising
Mariners,
in itself.
Yeah.
Friday nights on the Mariners, they call it fireworks night because they do fireworks during the summer at games. And so on August 5th, which is a Friday night, the Angels will be coming to town, and I think there will be fireworks that
There'll
game.
be fireworks. There will
it'll be
definitely
interesting
be
to see.
fireworks.
Funny.
See if the Mariners
Some sort.
have an opener
Now-
for that game.
So something that we've talked about a bit is, can we just get the politics out of sports? But that line gets blurred in some ways. And I wanted to talk about some other stories that exhibit people being upset about people's behavior in one way or another. There has been some blowback in China basketball as people have had Ping Shuai t-shirts and have waved flags in the game. They've gotten ejected. Some have had some serious consequences, but this was a political. Are you guys familiar with this? Anyone?
You're getting blank stares.
It's really someone who stood up basically against human rights issues in China and then disappeared. And so their t-shirts say this guy. And so they're saying, hey, there's no place for that. And yet they're bringing attention to something really important. Is it ever okay in sports to do that? Because we're weary. In fact, America's kind of weary. Conversely, in America, the Dallas Cowboys are facing criticism because they are partnering with a patriotic coffee brand, and that's just horrible because, by God, why would you want to be patriotic? Do we just get rid of it all, or where is it ever appropriate?
I think in this case with the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry's not going to care what people think. He's just not going to care because that's a business. That's a business deal he's made, and we should not, as people, get involved with who does business with who. I don't care. When I go to Dallas here in a couple of weeks for the Bengals game, I'm going to buy a lot of that coffee because I think it's great to partner with a military company, and I'm going to post pictures with this coffee cup and I think it's great. Whoever wants to do business with, do it with a coffee cup, with a company. People should just shut up. They should just shut up. Go to the game.
And Del, honestly, that's not taking a knee during the game. It's not waving a flag. It's not interrupting the flow of the sport. It's just a coffee company out there in the stands. And I find that pretty cool, in my opinion. How about you guys? The rest, yes.
It's a reason for folks who don't like something to just blather. That's all.
And that's what really is so annoying and distressing to me, is that it's not a level playing field, right? If you lean one way versus another, then you're criticized versus being praised. And it's just points out the blatant hypocrisy of these people who are playing sides and playing politics. And so it is a free country and it is a free market. And people have voted with their dollars in the last few years against the NFL for very varying different reasons, but I think for some very legitimate reasons and issues. I know quite a few people who've just said, I'm not tuning into the NFL anymore. Coincidentally, the Seahawks had a terrible team last year too, or had a terrible season.
So it was easy for you. It was easy for y'all up in the Northwest. Okay, so I mentioned this, and Brent and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that at a soccer match during Pride Week, the TIFO at the soccer game from the supporter section said, from Stonewall to today, Pride requires a riot. That was one of the worst things I had ever seen, and I was floored. That was a huge tifo across the entire section. It wasn't shown on television, and it's not been talked about, but really, Pride requires a riot? Okay.
I don't know. My idea of pride is old-fashioned. I don't. When I'm proud of something, I have pride. It's because I'm welling up with emotion. I'm not demonstrating my sexuality. So,
well, when the Bible does say pride comes before a fall, pride in the wrong instance is a in, but we
Well,
can't say that anymore. You're canceled.
It's just folks trying to get their message in through athletics, and that used to be a safe haven, and it's not anymore.
Okay.
Well,
wanted to
I
ask-
also think there's a
oh,
little,
go ahead.
there's also, it's just also a very disingenuous how you have things, we're very selective about when violence is called for and when it's not, and when it's okay
Yeah.
and when it's not. We're making, I'm not going to endorse what happened January 6th at the Capitol, but that doesn't change the fact that like these hearings are a dog and pony show and just a matter of making political points. So when is it okay to call for political violence and when is it not okay to call for political violence? Apparently it has to do with what your ideology is.
Yeah, and there is no
I
consistency.
prefer to go with let's just not, but
Oh yeah, we saw that with Arizona State Capitol was it compromised and riots were there. They were trying to break in, but that's okay. And you don't have to worry. It's not going to be called an insurrection. So you can breathe easy, folks.
Do Browns fans have a reason? I don't know. Maybe.
Not really, no.
The joke, folks.
A couple other news stories coming out of the sports realm that are just interesting news. Have the medal, the highest medal of freedom that was given to some sports figures. Megan Rapinoe was one of them. Simone Biles was another. And I wanted to ask you guys the question, just being really good at sports alone, do you think that requires or makes you eligible for the highest medal awarded a civilian in the United States, or should it be for something a little bit higher? I'm not going to dismiss what they've been able to accomplish. And I know in England, the Queen will knight people, Sir Paul McCartney, because he's a Beatle and they're pretty famous. They make really good music. So what are your thoughts on that? Because I'm looking at it going, really? Brent?
first of all, I'm not sure that is only why those two were given that honor. I think again, they have some very, well, especially Megan Rapinoe has some very different views than I do, but I think that the reasoning for giving the Medal of Honor was for stands that they took other than their athletic performance. So Megan Rapinoe, largely for her LGBTQ activism, as well as maybe even more significantly for me, for spearheading the efforts for the U.S. women's soccer team to achieve some pay equity, considering that they actually have had more success over the years and by a lot of standards actually have brought in more money. I thought that was a worthy cause to be fighting for.
Yeah, and President Biden also gave awards to Steve Jobs, John McCain, posthumous, however you say that, after they've deceased. And it's not uncommon for sports people to get them.
If that's what it was about, then maybe it should have gone to the entire team that made that stand.
And President Trump gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom during his years, Roger Staubach, Gary Player. Yeah. So there were definitely Tiger Woods, actually, President Trump gave one to as well. Yeah. He also gave one to Elvis Presley.
I get that. But regardless of people's political leanings, I would love to see awards for more than I'm famous and I've accomplished something in my field, because there's people who are really good computer programmers. I don't see them getting congressional medals of honor, or rather the Medal of Freedom, forgive me. But I think that we put a lot, it's not a bad thing, and I'm not complaining about it at all. I just wanted it for a moment of thought and reflection that what do we put our, look at that background, how gorgeous is that?
Gorgeous, yeah.
What are we putting our hope in, and what are we putting our values on? We love sports, all of us. That's why we're here.
I do have one question.
Sports isn't the be all end all. Go ahead.
Were those the only two that received that medal, or were there others?
No.
There
were others.
Because the question may not be who should be receiving it, but how the press is covering it.
It's exactly it.
The press is covering the names that everybody knows, and yet these people who've made some amazing contributions and probably some deep sacrifices, and they get this highest honor, and the press only goes to the familiar faces. So that's even a
very large class. He gave out 18 this go round, and President Trump gave 21 his entire presidency. And so this is just for 2022. He gave out 18.
The funny part was during about halfway through, he had to take a nap, didn't he?
Oh, that's bad. So here's what the Presidential Medal of Freedom is for. It's for meritorious contributions to 1, the security or national interests of the United States, 2, world peace, or 3, cultural or other significant public or private endeavors. Okay. Honorees are selected by the president or recommended to them by the Distinguished Civilian Service Awards Board. So I'm okay with it. And clearly it does tend to lean politically with, like, for example, President Trump gave the medal to Rush Limbaugh.
Right.
You know, and so, you know,
okay. I mean, no, it does tend to lean that way, but and I don't have a problem with it. I just think that it would be awesome if we had a moment of reflection in our own world and think what is really important and what really does deserve kudos. Another sports story, Brittany Griner. That has been a big deal with her hold up in Russia during these crazy political times. And apparently she pled guilty to having a vape and illegal substances. But did you hear her excuse? She was like, oh yeah, I was in a hurry packing and gosh, I forgot to take my
we lost
off because it really wasn't my fault. I wasn't thinking. Right. What the heck? If that were you or I, they would have tossed us away and thrown away the key. I mean, just say it. Except for Dell. If it were Dell, they would let him go because he's so awesome.
We don't have any political value though either.
I think in this case, I do hope we were able to bring her home because I think what she's being held for is bad, but it's not worth what the price she's going to get. But in this case, she's asking now the United States for help, which is great. But she in the past has said, don't play the national anthem before my game. And now she wants the help. I think I think we should go get her, bring her home, and because she is a citizen, and say, hey, out of a kind gesture, recite the Pledge of Allegiance before every game on national television and say how much you love this country. Because she has made statements that this country is terrible. She doesn't want the national anthem played, but now all of a sudden, hey, America, where are you? So let's bring her home and let's see how grateful she is.
Yeah.
Bigger point.
Right.
Oh, why not? Come on.
And maybe a little bit of time in a country where you don't have those protections and rights. It turns the light on and you go, oh, really? Maybe this is the greatest country on the planet. I'm just saying there. Guys, it's about time for us to get to our final shot.
Final shot.
I'm ready. Hey, my shot goes to, and this is a sport, by golly, Joey Chestnut, right? He ate the hot dogs, and it wasn't the fact he downed all those hot dogs. It was the fact that a protester came in and he headlocked that punk and threw him to the ground. So that was awesome, and everybody should do that. When an idiot rioter protester comes up in front of you, grab him by the throat, throw him down on the ground, and keep eating hot dogs.
I love it.
But do any of us even need one after that?
I know, right? It's kind of a drop the mic moment. I'm not even going to try to go to Garrick next because I got my nose bit off. So let's go to.
I'm going to just take an easy one if you're from the Seattle area, but I hope no one else has brought him up in previous weeks when I haven't been here. But man, the Julio Rodriguez show is sure fun to watch. That kid, he's turning out to be even better than I think people anticipated at 21 years old. He just plays the game with a lot of joy, and he's got every tool. His teammates love him. He's starting to make a push for being an all-star level player now. And he's been behind as the Mariners have been trying to play with guys who've been suspended and a lot of guys on the disabled list. He's kept them afloat offensively in the playoff chase. So I'm going to go with Julio.
It's fun to watch. It's America's underdog team. I'll be at the game tonight. Okay, Garrick, are you ready? Am I coach?
I am. I'll go. I was trying to remember all my sports stories from the week. I'm actually at a conference right now. So last 2 days I've been at this conference, so my brain's a little bit out of it. But I did hear a sports story. And as much as I don't like these guys, in 80 games in their just over 80 games. I don't remember exactly the number, but the fastest is 60 wins of the New York Yankees. I'm not a Yankees fan by any means, but it's quite an accomplishment to get to 60 wins already this season. And so my final shot goes to the, I think, a well-deserved New York Yankees.
I like that. I'm not a Yankees fan
Right.
either. My daddy loved the Yankees, and the Yankees actually made me fat as a kid because every time they won, my dad would buy me a banana split. We'd go to games and when the Yankees were in town, and I got fat. And so
It's a good
they
thing
changed
you're not doing that this year.
Okay, but get this, right? No kidding. But so that my parents changed their approach, they started taking me to get banana splits if the Mariners won, and I signed up. Just saying. So my final shot is.
So that's how
gonna
they
go-
introduced you to fasting, huh?
Oh, ouch. So my final shot is going to go to Wimbledon tennis player Jody Barrage. There was a ball boy on the side who fainted, and she instantly ran to his aid, bringing him a candy and kind of helping him back to. And I just love that because with all the people there and sports star, this is someone who is just humbly seen a need and jumping in, and God bless her for that. And that's where I wanted to end, with that spirit of humility, thinking of others. The Bible says to esteem others greater than yourself. That's the power of that. And guys, in our last seconds here, I just want to thank you guys for your beautiful spirit that you bring here. I love you, brothers, and I thank you so much. And in fact, I'm going to do something really crazy here. I'm on the road because I'm going to visit one guy who is often in our shows, Joshua McMillan. You never see his face, and he's freaking I'm serious, we're live, and he's hiding behind the car. Come here, Josh. I swear. He's but he really does exist. Come on.
At least give us a.
Maybe he doesn't really exist. He made a mythical creature.
Well-
If you're watching, listening, or viewing, I'm going to ask you to like, share, and subscribe, because we like to spread the God story here, and it's much needed in our world. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. God bless you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Have a great weekend.
For more fun, go to MyMichelleLive.com.